This is the High School Football America podcast for July the 15th, 2019. I'm Jeff Fisher. Well, this weekend was another chapter in the big rivalry between Southern California powers Mater Dei and St. John Bosco. Mater Dei preseason ranked number 1 in our High School Football America 100. St. John Bosco number 2. A couple of weeks ago, it was Mater Dei defeating St. John Bosco in the finals of the Battle at the Beach tournament. And then on Saturday in Mission Viejo, with 7 teams in all from the High School Football America preseason 100 from Southern California in the house, it was St. John Bosco walking away with the tournament championship in the semifinals this time. It was number 2, preseason number 2, that is, St. John Bosco downing preseason number 1 Mater Dei by a score of 35-28. And then in the championship game, St. John Bosco, no problems at all, defeating Corona Del Mar, a team that is ranked in the top 250 of the High School Football America preseason rankings. And on Saturday, we spoke with Bruce Rollinson, the head coach at Mater Dei. We're going to take it down one notch today to talk to the number 2 coach, Jason Negro, head coach of the St. John Bosco Braves. I talked to him earlier this afternoon. Well, one of the great things that happened to High School Football America when we moved to Los Angeles is we got to meet a lot of great coaches who became friends. And on the line right now is a guy that has become a friend, but he's also one heck of a football coach. He is the head man at St. John Bosco. As a matter of fact, when we moved out there in 2012, we saw the beginning of Jason growing the program there with the Braves. And he's on the line right now to talk about what should be another fun season for fans of St. John Bosco. Welcome to the show, Coach.
What's going on, Jeff? Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure being on this show.
And it's always good to have you here and hear your voice. And I had Bruce Rollinson on, your arch nemesis. You guys are becoming like the Yankees and Red Sox when it comes to high school football rivalries. But he was on Saturday with me. And, you're 1-2 in the poll. Mater Dei 1, St. John Bosco number 2. And I guess, one of the things I'm going to start out with you before we get into the players and breaking everything down is you've never hidden the fact that, you're interested in Trinity League championships, state championships, and competing for a national championship. This year, at 1-2, you can control your future there. Tell me a little bit about, the fact that you don't mind talking about, things down the road that bring great publicity to the school and allow the kids to achieve something that few high school football players get a chance to do.
No, I'm super fortunate to have the opportunity to be in a place that gives me that chance. I've spoken about it before, that Bosco in the league that we participate in, being in California, all the variables kind of match up to allow us to be able to not only schedule great teams in our league, great teams in the playoffs through the states, got to go through De La Salle, and then, having an opportunity to play some of the teams around the country that we have and the flexibility that our school allows us to do that, sets us up to have a chance to do that. And I know, and I'm not shy from saying it, that not all schools have that chance and not all those schools have that opportunity, but being here at Bosco, it does. So since I'm given that chance and given the opportunity to be able to create this type of program, I'm certainly going to embrace it, and we're going to try to empower our kids to go out and play some of the best people in the country. And I think that's something that we really take a lot of pride in, and we want to be spoken about on a national level, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that over the 10 years I've been here.
No doubt, and you've done it the right way, too, which I've told you off tape and on tape. You guys really do run the program properly there, and you've done some great things. As a matter of fact, when we created the algorithm in 13, you haven't won that mythical yet from us yet, but I told Jesse Christensen there in your office that we did a little story the other day, and since we started it in 2013, the number 1 team in the nation, St. John Bosco. You just got to get over the hump and get that number 1. Let's talk a little bit about what I was mentioning before, which is the high school football version of the Yankees and Red Sox. You guys have already made some headlines with your Battle at the Beach 7-on-7 passing, and then this weekend you won the South County there at Mission Viejo. Tell me a little bit about that rivalry, and for the people around the country that may only see that you guys are highly ranked in all the national polls, what's it like to have a rival like Mater Dei?
I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I really fortunate to have, this kind of relationship, not only with Coach Rollinson, but with Mater Dei, and having an opportunity to play them once during the season guaranteed and potentially twice is pretty fortunate for us, because we, pride ourselves on playing the best people around. And as long as their program continues to be as great as it is, we're going to have that chance to be able to play him on a national stage. And there are always big games. We have a tremendous amount of respect for what they do over there. Our coaching staff and their coaching staff are really, good friends, honestly, behind the scenes, something that a lot of people probably don't know. Bruce and I get along really well. I have a ton of respect for him and what he's been able to accomplish during his entire tenure there at Mater Dei. And we speak a lot, kind of offline, back and forth about things that we're doing within my program or things that are doing within his program or high school football in general. And, he's a wealth of knowledge. He's somebody that I kind of look up to, almost like in a mentor, type position because of what he has been able to accomplish. And the thing that I always pride myself on is the consistency in our program. Year in and year out, we continue to, make the necessary changes and adapt to the landscape to be as competitive as we are. And that's something that he's been able to do, since the mid-90s. So as long as we're able to continue to do that, and it's such a healthy rivalry, and our kids love it, our parents love it, the fan bases, we're separated by about 20 miles or so, 25 miles, and it's just awesome when we have a chance to play those guys, and most of the time we got to play them twice.
Yeah, it's for sure. Jason Negro on the line, St. John Bosco head coach. He's been there for a decade, and just my own 2 cents on that. My first time watching the rivalry, what amazed me was the number of kids after the game, no matter how hard fought the game was, would get together, and you could see the camaraderie there. It's a legitimate thing that it's a rivalry that goes beyond just who wins and who loses. That's for sure. Coach, let's go into the program now. The kids, I like to get all the kids' names in there, as many as we can. I think, and I don't like those recruiting services, but I think at last count, you guys had, 9 of the top 100 players in California? Something like that. The number 1 quarterback and all that. So you've got a lot of talent there, and let's just start with, I'm going to try DJ's name. I always mess it up. Uyagalele. How'd I do? Did I get it right?
Uyagalele.
Okay.
Uyagalele.
Oh, Uyagalele. Okay, well, anyway.
I've had a little bit more experience, and now we've got his brother Mateo as a freshman on our varsity team. And so I got another, this year with both of them, and then 3 years after that. So I'm going to be pretty good at pronouncing that name.
Well, good. Then I just go back to DJ, since I always screw it up when I do it anyway. Anyway, here's the question. I think one, and again, I don't like 7-on-7 either, but one of the stories of the summer was the battle at the beach when the Elite 11 was going on. DJ decided it was more important to be there with his teammates. Tell me a little bit about that and what that says about him heading into 2019.
Well, if that's not a defining moment for him in terms of his character and spreading a message about what is important to him, I don't know what is. He made the decision on his own. He came up to me and said, Coach, obviously I have this opportunity to go to Dallas and participate in the Elite 11. However, we didn't perform very well in our first tournament back in May when he was just coming off of baseball, and we had some kids missing, and we participated in a tournament at Los Alamitos, and we didn't play very well. I think, we were like 3-2 on the day and lost to some teams that we shouldn't have. And again, it's not real football, but when you're in a competitive environment, you still want to win no matter what you're participating in. And, Battle of the Beach was the next one up. And DJ said, Coach, I think it's probably going to be in the best interest of not only me, but the team if I stay back and I participate in practice and I go and compete in the tournament and try to get us a little bit better for the season. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to, don't twist my arm, but sure, I'll accept that. And I think that's going to go a long ways with your teammates. And it certainly did. We got better as a team that Saturday, even though we lost to Mater Dei in the finals, but we got better as a team. We started to click a little bit more in terms of our timing and our precision and what we're trying to accomplish offensively. And then it all came together, and it culminated with a great day on Saturday with the South County tournament down at Mission. And, we were 7-0, I think, on the day. And other than one game, we really didn't have any games that were very close. We played really well offensively. And that's something that I'm going to look back on, hopefully in December, if we're able to finish this thing off the right way, saying, man, maybe that might have been the defining moment, something that we needed as a team to kind of leapfrog us or propel us to where we want to go when we start the fall. So I just can't talk enough about his unselfishness and how important the team is to him and our overall goals down the road in the future. So DJ's a special kid, and that's just one thing that really kind of emphasizes that.
Yeah, it caught my eye, that's for sure. Jason Negro on the line, St. John Bosco, number 2 in the preseason High School Football America 100. Of course, it only counts when they get on the field. We just do that for the fans to get them all riled up. But coaches like seeing, too, where you are a little bit. I know he has some weapons there, too. I mean, when it comes to catching the ball, and you guys have had a lot of good ones through the years here, the last couple of years. Let's talk a little bit about the guys in the skill positions. Who do you like? Who are some of the kids you're going to rely on to make sure that DJ's able to use his talents to the fullest?
Well, I think offensively, he's got a lot of talent, surrounding him. We return, whether it depends if it's an even or an odd front. Last year, we returned either 4 offensive linemen that started or 3. So if you return 4/5 or 3/5 of your offensive line, you already have a chance, right there, which is really, exciting for us, because I'm a firm believer that games are won up front. And unless you have guys that can, protect the big guy, we're not going to, be very successful. And then in the skill positions, Bosco's fortunate. We're going to always have guys that can play, that are very skilled, led by Chris Hudson and Bo Collins. Those 2 guys, were starters for us last year at the receiver position and have only gotten better. And then we added Logan Loya, who was a transfer from Orange Lutheran, who wanted to be a part of what we're doing in our program. He's part of our youth program. And then, now he's back with us as a senior. And Logan's probably one of the most talented receivers in the state. So we're pretty fortunate with those 3 wideouts. And if we go 4 wideouts, we'll bring in a kid named Jody McDuffie, who's been a part of our program since his freshman year, and he'll be a junior. Super talented guy. That's one thing we don't lack here at Bosco is athletes. Mm-hmm. And then tight end position, we got a couple kids. Adam Aweda is a returner that's going to play behind Jude Wolf last year. And then DJ's brother is 6'5", 240 pounds. So, as a freshman, that's a pretty good-sized kid to come in there and play some tight end. So that just leaves the running backs, and we have a returning back who's coming off an injury, Nathan Jones, who's kind of the senior leader. And then we have 3 dynamic sophomores who are kind of ridiculous, and I think people are going to really start to see how talented they are early on in the season, because they're so fast and they're so athletic. And behind that big O-line, they could be pretty special as well. So I like where we're at. I like the depth that we have. All we have to do is just execute and put it all together.
And let's get the names in of those kids up front, because I think that's one of the things that I didn't know about when I moved to Southern California. I heard about the athletes, all the talent, whether it's quarterback, running back, wide receiver. But not only do you guys out there grow them big, they're athletic. So who are the kids that you have up front?
Yeah. Well, Drake Metcalf is a Stanford commit. He's an offensive lineman for us, and Logan Bednar. Both those guys play tackle for us. We're probably going to move Logan to the inside this year. Che Womack is going to be our center, and Che's done an amazing job. He's a 4-year kid for us, and he started when we played an even front last year, so he has a lot of starts under his belt. And Edward Riley is a guy that is going to be a junior, and he started every game for us last year as a sophomore. So those 4 guys are the nucleus of kids coming back. And we have Mateo Tupolo as a big offensive lineman, one of the biggest guys that we have in our program that's kind of factoring in. And Maximus Gibbs is another one that is kind of new to the scene, and he's going to be a junior, and he's going to be vying for a starting position as well. So we have a lot of depth there up front, and we think we'll probably go about 7-8 deep on the offensive line, and that's kind of, rare and, different than a lot of schools. It seems to have offensive linemen is a premium if you're able to have it. Mm-hmm. And we're pretty fortunate here to have the guys we have.
Jason Negro on the line, number 2, St. John Bosco in the preseason High School Football 100. Switching over to the defense, let's see, if Penn State was known as linebacker U, is St. John Bosco cornerback high school or something like that? I don't know what the name of it is. You guys have turned out some good ones. So why don't we start there in the secondary? What do you have?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to have some really good, talented kids in the secondary, and they've got a lot of athleticism and ability not only to cover, but to come up in the run game and be physical. So, in the secondary, we returned both our starting safeties from last year, and John Vaughns and Jake Newman. Those guys, John and Jake both played a lot as sophomores too. So they're quasi, 2-year starters coming into the season, and we're really excited about that. And then our 2 nickel corners from last year who played on the inside and our nickel coverage are back. And those guys will probably start on the outside, and that's James Smith and Josh Alford. Those guys, again, got a lot of experience, played a lot. And we got some newcomers that are coming up. Tavion Beasley is a guy that's played really well. Dylan Kendall Tolles is another one that has done a really good job for us. And we're really excited about what he's been able to do. And in our hybrid kind of linebacker safety position is Court Williams is probably the leader of our defense. And he's got offers anywhere from Penn State to Alabama to LSU, and he's going to be our leader. So we're on the back end of the defense. We're really excited about those guys.
But always know the Braves are physical and quick at that front seven there. What do you have this year?
The front seven is another area of strength I think that we have in the program. We're a base 4-2-5 defense, but because of the variety of offenses that we have to play against, we can kind of mesh into some different fronts and give different looks to offenses, which is something that's been our strength over the years. Is we have so much personnel, we can just play kids in different spots and kind of get some really good results. So the defensive line, we're going to rotate a lot of guys. We got Colby Pepe coming back, who's a USC commit. Matt Jordan, both those guys started for us last year. One guy started on the inside and Matt started on the outside. And really happy about what they're doing. We got some other kids that are going to play for us that we think are going to be very talented, and Gabe Allen. And we'll probably go about 8 deep on our D-line as well. We just got some really big physical kids that can play, and they're all versatile. They can play on the inside or the outside. They can play in an even front or an odd front. So we're really excited about them. And then at the backer core, we could do a lot of things too. We got a kid named Benny and Danny Lockhart. Those 2 kids are brothers playing in the inside spot. They're very physical, downhill, run defender type guys. And AJ Gatto is another linebacker that we're, really excited about. And another guy that we think is going to really help us. It's a very, very athletic linebacker is a young man named Andrew Simpson. So all those kids, if they can kind of factor and find roles into the defense and be able to move around a little bit and have some versatility, I think that we're going to have a pretty good skilled group there. And like you said, one thing we can do is run, and we're physical.
Oh yeah, that never changes. Jason Negro on the line here. Going to wrap up with a couple of questions. As if there isn't enough media attention there on the Trinity League, you guys decided to put the Trinity League against the U.S. So you got yourselves, Mater Dei, and J. Sarah. You're 1 and 2, of course. You and Mater Dei. J. Sarah is 40, and then you're bringing out St. Francis from Baltimore, number 10. You got Good Counsel, who you're going to play, number 25, and Milton, which is 55, and the defending champs from Georgia. How excited are you to host that event at your brand spanking new stadium? Well, 1 year removed, I guess.
Yeah, it's really great. And I have to really thank my colleagues in the Trinity League, Mater Dei and J. Sarah, for having, kind of the trust in me to set this thing up. And also those 3 opponents who are willing to come out to California and to play us here in this showcase type of thing. And one of the things we're excited about is the brand of football that we play in California. And this is just basically, it's a platform or it's a stage for people to come and see teams from across the country and how talented they are. And, to have 6 teams in the top 55 in your poll in one weekend at our school is going to generate a lot of excitement. And, we kind of pride ourselves here in California, or at least in the Trinity League, the 6 of us, is one of the toughest leagues in the country. Well, now we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is, so to speak. And we're going to give teams the opportunity to come into California if they want to travel, and we'll provide a little travel stipend for them to come and play us. And I don't think that we're afraid to play anybody across the country. But over the years, we've always had to go outside of the state to play. And now we want to have an opportunity for these guys to come in and play us here and show our fans and our communities, how great the football can be across the country. And, it's something I'm really excited about. Hopefully we're going to be able to pull it off without any hitches, but it's going to be an exciting 2 days here in September, and I'm really fired up about it.
Yeah, I'm booking the tickets sometime in the next 10 days here. I can't wait to see you again and be out there. One other thing before we go here, I wanted to talk about a big change this year in the CIF Southern section, which is California's strongest, as most people know. If you don't know it, trust me, it is the strong section. Created an open division, if you will. They've taken divisions 1 and 2, the 2 toughest in California, and now at the end of the season, that open division is only going to have 8 teams in it. A lot of reasons for doing that, one being some of those first-round games were blowouts, but I would love to get your take on it because you're one of those teams that were in that we just blew you out stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I got to kind of be careful with it. I'm part of the CIF advisory committee and the football, department here in our CIF. Being the fact that, I'm a part of it, I'm going to support what we're doing, and I'm going to support, the CIF and the decisions that they make. We're part of their membership, and I'm excited to do so. But, I'm not a big fan of the new proposal, on a couple fronts. And this is nothing that I haven't discussed with them. So I don't think it's, out of line to say it, but I don't think it's fair that our kids were denied a playoff opportunity of only having to play now 3 playoff games because we've been successful. It's just not fair. I'm not a big fan of, trying to create competitive equity where it gives everybody a chance. I don't think that's the right thing. I don't think that's reality in not only America, but in the world. I mean, not everybody has a chance. It's just not the way things work. And, it kind of devalues the fact that we went out and we've worked hard to build the program, and which we've done it is under the rules which they've set forward for us. So it's not like, we're outside the box or we're, doing something that we shouldn't be doing. We've created a program here that I'm super proud of, and I don't think my kids should be punished by reducing the number of playoff games just because we're successful. And then, I'm really worried about what it's going to do, to the league concept. The fact is, before we even sit play a game in the season, we're already in the playoffs. I mean, I think that's another thing that just doesn't sit well with me. I think you need to earn it. I think you need to go through your season to determine where you're going to play in the playoffs. And as we sit here on July 15th, I'm a playoff team, and I was guaranteed in. And there's, 24 other teams that are going to be in there, or actually 32 total teams that are going to be in the playoffs guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And I think what that's going to do, it's going to affect leagues, and I think it's going to affect the way people play, because if you're in a league and it's 10th game of the season and you know that you're already guaranteed in the playoffs and you're going to go sit down there in Division II and try to, well, then what motivation do you have to play your kids against me? It doesn't make sense to me. So that's something that I worry about, is now what it's going to do to these leagues and to the games of our regular season, and it's almost made them insignificant. So these are going to be things that we're going to have to look at and evaluate over the next couple of years, and see if we can continue to tweak it to where it's best for all parties.
Yeah, and I didn't know your opinion prior to the question, but one of the things I've told people is, there are a lot of teams that don't mind being 14 seed, 15 seed, 16 seed with a shot to play against a Mater Dei, a St. John Bosco, all the top teams. I think that's back to what you're pointing about, competitive. As athletes, that's what we are. We're very competitive. Well, we wrap up here with a question I always give you. I know you're going to give me coach speak. I think I say this every year. You're going to tell me a game at a time and not looking past. But I am going to ask you about the things you have in your mind there with your assistants. What are some of the things you guys have to do to get yourself into a position where at the end of the year you're playing those games that you want to be playing in?
Well, I think we have to, number one, get better week after week. I mean, our preseason is brutal. We're playing 5 teams from out of state in the 5 games. I don't know how many people, maybe IMG is the only school in the country doing something like that. But in terms of, we have to continue to get better, and playing a schedule like this, we're going to have to ensure that we create a lot of depth, because it's going to be difficult to keep people healthy as we move through the gauntlet that we're going to have to play in the non-league and then go into the league. And then not only that, then go into this open division, playoff system. And at the end of the day, play De La Salle in the finals. So, we have to stay healthy. We have to prepare ourselves and get better each week. And we have to develop some depth. So that's something that I've talked to my staff about, is we've got to do a really good job of, when we have opportunities to play kids in certain situations, that we're doing that to give them a chance to get better. So when we have to call on them full time, they're going to be able to handle it. And, the other things is we have to stay hungry as a program. Our kids have to stay, focused, and you're dealing with kids. And I think, if you look back to last year, the first Mater Dei game, we did really well, and we handled that game and won kind of convincingly. And then we turn around, 4 or 5 weeks later, and we threw up an egg and didn't play very well. So our kids need to guard against that, and we have to stay competitively hungry. And if we're able to do that and some breaks go our way, we might be fortunate enough to win every game that's on our schedule.
And that gets us back to where we started, a perfect circle, possible mythical national championship. Coach, always good to hear your voice. I can't wait to see you there in mid-September for the Trinity League versus USA. Again, as much as I respect you as a coach, I respect you as a friend, so thank you for joining me tonight.
No problem, Jeff. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing some of the other broadcasts that you have. You always do a great job for high school sports.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Jason Negro, head coach at St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California, number 2 in the preseason High School Football America 100. That's created with a proprietary algorithm. We came out with it a little more than 2 weeks ago. We dropped it on the 28th of June, which was the 15th anniversary of the birth of High School Football America. And throughout the preseason here, we're going to have some of the great coaches from around the country joining us on the show to talk about everything that will lead into the 2019 high school football season. So make sure you tune in to us, not only on highschoolfootballamerica.com, but by listening on Apple Podcasts. That's on iTunes. You can also listen on TuneIn Radio and a lot of other places. So just Google us on the good old Google thing. Just put in High School Football America Podcast. And every place that we're heard, you will be able to find it right there. Look forward to talking tomorrow on the High School Football America Podcast. I'm Jeff Fisher.